we are back, folks, for another edition of the Michigan Recruiting Insider with another one of the best in the country. One of the top defensive edge prospects in the land. That's what my man Levi Bradley calls it, the land. Whenever I make my way down, he takes me around that footprint to see the best prospects, but I wouldn't have to go any farther than the hallway. When we talk about Simeon High School, we're talking about McHale Blade. This is a guy he's been telling me about for a long time. And Michigan has been on him for a long time. We know that because the Wolverines have had him on campus no fewer than 4 times. He is one of the top targets on their board. He's been on campus here again for this spring practice. And he is with us here in studio. McHale, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for joining us and gracing us with your presence
Yes,
here
sir.
in studio. And so, first things first, man, before we get to talking about any recruiting, my man Levi Bradley, that's my brother. He said, take care. This is one of my babies, one of my guys. And so he said, take care of him because this is going to be one of the greats, one of the guys that's going to be really, really good out of the city. So let's talk about when you got started, though, McHale. I mean, getting into the game. When did you get into it? When did you start loving it? When did you start realizing you were pretty good at it?
Yes, sir. So it really, for me, it all started with my pops, and then my older brother. Really just as a family, I'm coming from a big football family. My granddad, he was also a coach. And then it trickled down to my pops, and then now my older brother, he's also a coach. He's also on the coaching staff at Simeon Career Academy, so that's pretty huge for me as well. So I started playing when I was about 11-ish, 12-ish, and I didn't really know too much about it. I was just kind of out there, to be honest. But over time, I kind of just fell in love with the game, and I kind of just took off like a rocket.
So, man, how does that work? This is one of the interesting dynamics for me when you have, whether it's a father or a brother who's also a coach. That's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Wearing those hats. Like when it's a family member, when you step on that field, are they harder on you than they are the rest of the teammates? Are they easier? How does that work? How has that been for you?
So yeah, my older brother, he works with the defense, and I'm on defense as well, but he's more so really with the linebackers. I'm with the D-line, but when we're on that field, that's not my brother, that's Coach Blade. I address him as coach, not brother. So there is a huge difference with that. But then with my dad, he's usually on the sidelines, always yelling at me at the games. But I kind of tend to tune him out a little bit. To be quite honest, I tune him out a bit. But
I mean, is it an intentional thing? What I mean by that is when you step between the lines,
right?
Like when you walk onto the field, is it an intentional thing that, hey, it's not brother, son, father, son anymore. It's like coach, player.
Yeah.
That we leave behind the familial thing, and now it's business. Are you intentional about that?
Yeah, most definitely. Because when I step on that field, I'm no longer the McHale that they know. I'm no longer that 4.0, straight A student that they know. I'm a different player. I'm a different person. So I address to him as coach. I address to him as sir, I guess, or whatever, And then when I say I tune them out, I don't intentionally tune them out. I'm just so locked into the game. I'm just, all the outside noise is silent to me. So that's just really what it is.
Yeah, and I hear you because I know from just reading up on you and hearing, obviously, Levi, I talk about you a lot, when we talk about how important academics are to you. You said 4.0 student. Every article that's written about you, the first thing you mention, academics. So we know that's first and foremost. But man, you step onto the field, it seems like there's a switch.
Definitely a huge switch. I'm no longer that, that nerdy, quiet kid that you'll probably get in the classroom. A lot of the teachers probably don't even know I play football, but once I step on that field, I'm a whole different person, honestly.
Okay, all right. So you tap into something different.
I have to. Kind of like a Kobe thing. He had this thing with the black mamba, stuff like that. I just got to turn into a different person because on the football field, you can't be no no shy, quiet kid on a football kid. You kind of got to be a gangster.
So was it always defense for you?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started off, I played O-line and I was just a lineman, you know. So on offense, I played lineman, guard, tackle, or whatever they needed me at. And then on defense, I was just D-line. And I kind of just fell in love with the defensive end position because it's just so fun.
So it was was making the transition to Simeon part of bringing, developing your game, bringing that out of you. Take me through that move.
Yeah. Because I understand, Coach Thank You Turner, and Levi, just seeing what they did with guys like Marquise Lightfoot. They even played a role with Chris Burgess. So I also wanted to be in that conversation. So that's really the reason why I made my switch to Simeon.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
definitely. I could pick up on that from afar too. And so let's talk about you and your game. I like having guys do this, scout themselves. So be a coach, be a scout. Tell me if you're watching McHale Blade, be that sort of that guy watching yourself on the field. Break down your game. Give me a scouting report.
So first and foremost, I'm a pretty big guy. I also have long arms. I have a 7-foot wingspan. I think I measured in at about 84 and some change. But really just my explosiveness and my get off the ball, my ability to just, intercept the passing lanes, get my hand up and things like that, and just really just get in the quarterback's face. But not only that, I'm a huge run stopper. I don't just come in on passing plays and like it's all four downs. I'm putting my head in it. So, yeah.
I see you overpower dudes, man.
Oh yeah, for
like
sure.
you overpower guys at the line of scrimmage. I definitely see that watching your tape. I mean, do coaches tell you that you maul guys at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah. I mean, I see it a lot, in my game as well. But I play on the other side of the ball.
Okay. So when do you, in your recruiting journey, when do you start to feel the presence of big time institutions? Like, man, I'm starting to feel this recruiting attention. When does that pick up?
That started about that winter after my sophomore year. That's when it really started rolling. I received my first offer from the University of Miami, and things just kind of took off after that. A lot of big, institutions, started calling, and just wow, like it's such a huge blessing to just receive so many opportunities from these big schools.
So when it first started happening, was it one of those things where some guys are like, man, it's about time, like I knew it was coming, or was it for you a shock or a surprise? Like, how did it hit you when it first started happening?
It was definitely a shock for me because, I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to be so soon. I was only a sophomore, and like I said, I had just started really getting into football, like really, really hard. Like that's when I really started training, and especially once I got my offers, like that's when the training really picked up because like now it's like, okay, I really got to come with it and prove to everybody, I belong. So
I got you. All right, so it really starts picking up. Now, did you grow up a fan of any particular school?
Nah, I wouldn't say school, but I definitely watched the Bears, because my pops and my older brother, like I said, really just my entire family it revolves around the Bears. Just a few Packers.
Oh, man, how does that work?
I don't even call them family, to be honest.
I was about to say, that's like a blood feud,
yeah,
right?
It's definitely a feud. So just growing up in that environment, that kind of really it kind of trickled me into football, it kept me interested. So
I got you. All right, so Miami comes in. I'm sure Illinois trying to keep you home.
Yes, sir.
Terrence Jameson over there. We know him well because his brother Tim played at Michigan.
Yep.
And then, of course, the University of Michigan comes in. So take me through when you started hearing from Michigan and then when they offered. When did that happen?
So, man, really, they came up to my school when I was at Hillcrest. Coach Espo, he came and seen me, and I sat down and I had a great conversation with him. And I just remember sitting in that library like, man, this is Michigan. That's when I really started feeling like, this is real. Like, Michigan is here, and I'm talking to Michigan. And right there, he offered me on the spot. And ever since then, he's just been recruiting me pretty hardly.
Yeah, man. So it definitely, you can tell with Espo when he's serious about a guy. Like the persistence with which he's recruiting a guy. And we can always see, whenever he was on the road,
Yeah.
just the level of persistency from a person who covers recruiting. He was always in contact with you.
Yeah.
At least that's how it seemed from our
definitely.
perspective. Did you feel that?
I definitely felt that. I mean, he's always hitting me up, just kind of out of the blue, just checking in on me and just seeing how I'm doing, how my family's doing. I got 2 little brothers, so he's always asking about them. They're actually up here with us. They're probably swimming in the pool in the hotel right now. So they've definitely been enjoying it as well. So yeah, he's always hitting me up.
Okay, so what's the connection, the vibe like on a personal level with him, and then your thoughts on him as a coach? Now that you've been here 4 times, you've seen him coach in the practice, you've seen him coach in games. What are your thoughts on him as a coach as well?
Man, I can just tell he's a great ball coach, but most importantly to me, he's a great person. He seems super genuine. He's super down to earth. Like every conversation I have with him is just like, man, like he's just so cool. But as a coach, like I can tell he's really into development. Developing his guys. Because just watching him practice, Michigan have some really great edge rushers, but I can tell that Coach Espo he's looking to make them even better.
So beyond him, a coaching staff that. You got a whole coaching staff where every one of the coaches has been a defensive coordinator. But the guy who is the coordinator has done it at a high level, Coach Martindale. So Coach Wink, man, what about him? What's the vibe like with him? What are your thoughts of Coach Wink?
Man, super cool dude, super good guy, man. I spoke to him yesterday. I got to see him at the defensive meeting. I sat in that room and he got to go over and all the guys that he coached, and, big names like Ray Lewis and all of the top guys. Like those are his guys. So that's definitely huge for me. So because he knows what it looks like, he knows what greatness looks like. So
what did they say, McHale? Because you seem like, just watching you seem like a guy who could play up and down the line of scrimmage, super versatile. With your athleticism and your size. Now, I don't know what they said to you about how they would use you, but what would be the plan, for instance, if you were to choose Michigan? What did they say about that?
Oh, yeah. So I am an edge rusher. They're keeping me on the outside, but there definitely will be some things going on to where I'm moving all down the line of scrimmage. If you look at all of the great NFL players, all of the big top, edge rushers, they can play anywhere from a wide 9 to a 0. So honestly, it's all about versatility with me. I don't really care where they put me at because I'm going to dominate either way.
Okay. So, Coach Moore, I mean, the guy who stirs the coffee at Michigan. What are your thoughts on him? What's the connection like with him?
Oh, yeah, he's great. I speak to him a lot, actually. He's super down to earth, and I'm just excited to see what he's going to do because I know he's the first black head coach at Michigan, and that definitely means a lot to me. That's huge. But yeah, I'm really excited to see where he leads the program, and I'm excited to see what they do this year for sure.
Yeah, so he put his stamp on Michigan first as sort of like the the fill-in for Jim Harbaugh. He was able to lead them.
Yeah.
While Harbaugh was out, with the wins over first Penn State, but really it was that Ohio State game.
Oh man.
but then it was last year where they got off to a good start, and then it was the dip, and then 4 touchdown underdogs. Everybody's out for the most part. I mean, they find out Colston Loveland is out before the Ohio State game. Basically, the back end of your defense is out. But you go down there and you're really the only team in the country to stop that Ohio State offense.
Yeah.
And you didn't even have all your dogs with you, and you still got it done.
Yeah.
What does that say to you? Does it move the meter with you at all?
Oh yeah.
As a guy?
Yeah, most definitely. Because to me, that speaks development. A lot of the starters, they were out. So guess who stepped up? The backups, and that just tells me that everybody's getting developed. Not only the people that's starting, but somebody goes down, the next man is ready to play. So.
Okay. All right. So, drawing away from Michigan, and just talking about recruiting in general, McHale, when you sort of evaluate your criteria for picking a school, like what are going to be the big factors in that choice when you make it?
Really just the number one for me would be relationships. I say this everywhere I go, no matter the school. I always bring up relationships because my relationship with the coaching staff and just the people that's there, that's who I'm really going to be spending all of my time with is the people there. So, of course, I'm going to have a great relationship with you guys. But not only with me, just with my family as well. Like, can my dad call you at any time of the night just to check up on me and see how I'm doing? That's really huge for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just relationships are key for me. Academics, everybody knows that academics is huge for me because I want to get a good degree and, be able to, do anything with my life with that degree. That's really what I'm looking for. I just, 50 years down the line, that degree will still carry a ton of weight. So.
You know what you want to major in?
I'm thinking about business. I spoke to a lot of the business guys yesterday, so I'm definitely thinking about going in for a business. But I'm also open to, sports management or even sports medicine. I'd love to be like some type of physical therapist. So just something, just so I can still be around the sport, still be around football, still be around a team, and just that camaraderie.
I got
so,
you.
Yeah.
So a couple of other factors that may not be factors for you, but what about distance from home?
I mean, honestly, if I feel home, 10 hours away, then that's just what it is. I honestly don't really care too much about the distance from home, but I know my parents will love to keep me safe, especially my mom. My mom, I know she's watching. She'll love to keep me safe. She's probably shaking her head watching this like, yes, stay close to home. So, Michigan being only 3 hours away, that makes it a whole lot easier as well. So, because that'll be huge for me if they can just come, and see every game. And for my little brothers to experience that, that'll be huge as well.
Right. All right. So what about NIL? I mean, to varying degrees for every guy, that's a consideration. How much of a consideration is that for you?
NIL is definitely a pretty big factor. Well, it is a factor, and I'm not gonna say it's not, because obviously for everyone, NIL would definitely be a factor. But NIL isn't the main thing. The main thing for me is just playing football and being developed. And getting a good education. That's really, at the end of the day, for me, is just the most important part for me is just getting a good education.
Yeah, so what about timeline, McHale? I mean, you have in your mind, like, when you would like to have a decision made by?
Honestly, I'm not rushing it, whenever I feel like the time is right, but I do kind of have a time frame or a window, I'm thinking about right before my senior season. So in these next couple months, I'll be looking to at least slimmer down my schools, and I'll probably make a decision then, Okay. So probably that July, I'm looking to make a decision.
So do you know your OVs?
Yeah, I got a lot of OVs. They're not really locked in for the date-wise, but I know a lot of the schools that I'm gonna be trying to hit up for the OVs for sure.
So have you announced those yet?
Nah, not yet.
So do you know if Michigan will be one of those OVs?
Michigan will definitely be an OV.
Right, so Michigan will definitely be an OV.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's always sort of interesting to hear how a guy will, in the final phase of deliberation, what that's going to look like. So for you, is it going to be a collaborative process where you're sitting with the people in your circle and you guys are having like a discussion where everyone is kind of tossing back the pros and the cons, and it's a collaborative decision? Or will it be, okay, you're going to talk to the people in your circle, you take their input, and then you go off on your own and make a decision? Have you kind of thought about how it's going to go for you? Yeah,
so my family and, the people closest to me will definitely have an impact on my decision. But, at the end of the day, I do got the final say-so because, I'm the one that's going to the school. But we definitely will have a little sit down and kind of just bounce ideas and bounce feelings, about the school that I'm, ultimately going to make my decision to come to.
Yeah, so you got a lot of great options. Have you, and it gets tougher the deeper you go, because now once you narrow it down to a handful, they start to look very similar. So have you thought about that when they start to look the same? How do you start to separate them at that point? Yeah,
it definitely gets tough, just having so many options. And I met so many great people, so many great people at so many of these different schools, but I know at the end of the day I can only go to one school. And that makes it pretty challenging because, A coach may be hitting me up, and I know I'm not going to be going to that school, but I still answer anyway because I just love to talk to him. You know, he's just a great dude, so I still answer. But yeah, it's going to be pretty tough.
Here's why I ask you that. Like, how would you recruit you? Like, you're recruiting McHale Blade. I mean, you're a guy who likes the guy that is super persistent. Like, I'm calling you every day.
Yeah.
I'm that person who I'm gonna text you 20 times. I'm gonna DM you all hours of the day and night. I'm hyper vigilant. Or I'm that coach that I'm gonna be judicious. I'm gonna hit you a couple times, and it's gonna be the quality of what I say to you, the substance of what I say to you, as opposed to the quantity of what I say. Which one is going to be effective, the effective approach with McHale Blade?
The quantity. No, I'm sorry. The quality.
The quality.
The quality of, you know, you can hit me up 1,000 times out of the day, but if we're just saying the same thing over and over again, I mean, what are we doing here, to be honest? But the quality, you know, of what you're saying, that's definitely what stick out to me. So, yeah. Yeah,
man. And a person seems like to me who is stressing academics. Seems like that is gonna be high on the list too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Academics is gonna be huge for me because I want to see how smart I am. You know, honestly, I want to challenge my brain and I want to go somewhere that's gonna challenge me academically. So, yeah.
I got you. So I always like to give guys the opportunity to pay homage to the people who helped them get here, because you didn't get here by yourself. Literally, you didn't even get to this set by yourself, right? You know,
right.
You know, there's no way that you make it as far as you've made it without people supporting you, picking you up when you're down, holding you accountable when you need to be held accountable, right?
Right.
And so all the success that you're going to enjoy moving forward is going to be made sweeter by enjoying it with the people that helped you get there, right? So this is your time to shout those people out.
Oh yeah, so first and foremost, you know, I want to thank both my parents, you know, my mom and my dad for you know, preparing me and getting me to this situation that I'm currently in, to just blessed to be in. But I also want to thank, you know, all the coaches, you know, not only at Simeon but at Hillcrest as well, because they definitely have a role in, you know, where I'm at right now today. So thank you, coaches at Hillcrest. You know, Simeon, you know, Levi Bradley, you know, St. Q, those guys are definitely huge. And but really, you know, a lot of the guys in Chicago, you know, like you know, Trey Pierce, because he's at Michigan as well. I have a pretty decent relationship with him. To the Amarion Stewart, you know, he's also one of Levi guys, so I have a pretty tight relationship with him as well. You know, he's helping me in this recruitment, but really just all of my family, you know, all my brothers, my 3 brothers, you know, they push me and strive me to be the best I can possibly be every single day. So I just thank you guys for sure.
Absolutely. So to wrap this up, I want to do that by asking you first about the schedule. We talked to one of your teammates, talked to Future.
Okay.
And we asked him, hey, if we were to circle a few games on the schedule to come see you do your thing, what would those games be? I want to see if your answer is the same. What would those games be if we were to come down and come check you guys out?
It's probably going to be similar, but Morgan Park, that's the number one. You got to come to that game, because I didn't get to play them last year, but the way they paraded on our field, like, that definitely made. I got a distasteful taste in my mouth, so I'm ready for them for sure. Kenwood, you know, I'm ready for them, but just everybody on the schedule. Honestly, I'm coming for all y'all. So but I really just say that to come to that Morgan Park game, that'll probably be game of the year. So.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
And so then wrap things up with a couple Michigan questions. Heard you mention a couple of Michigan guys. Marion Stewart, definitely one of my dudes, obviously from Michigan.
Oh yeah.
I mean, from Illinois.
Yep.
You mentioned Trey Pierce. I mean, the appeal of, you know, that Chicago flavor on the Michigan roster. How big is that, and what are those dudes saying to you about Michigan?
Yeah, that's huge. You know, they're telling me, you know, just you know, the day-to-day basis of, you know, how it is in Michigan, and, you know, from them being from the house, you know, that definitely means a lot, you know. But I know big boy Grant, you know, he's going to the league this year. I know he's also from Atlanta, so that's definitely huge for me. That Chicago land, the Michigan pipeline, that'll be huge.
So what do you like the most about Michigan right now? And then what's the biggest question you have lingering about Michigan at this point?
Michigan, I really like what they stand for. You know, they stand for excellence. Like, you come into Michigan, excellence. That's all they preach is excellence, and just being the best you could possibly be. You know, it's Michigan. You know, so they always reach for excellence. That's something I love to be a part of. You know, everybody's striving for greatness. So even the janitors, they working to be the best they can possibly be. So that's definitely, you know, something I want to be a part of and be around. And then question-wise, questions. I mean, I just want to see how they're gonna do this year. Honestly, it's not really much of a question, but it's something I got to see for myself. You know, just the way that the team that they rally around each other this season, because there's definitely gonna be some ups and downs this season, but I want to see how they, you know, pick each other up and, you know, how they're gonna finish. So.
Yeah, I saw you taking the picture with Bryce Underwood, man. Were you surprised when he flipped to Michigan?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. You know, you can probably see my little brothers in the picture too. They were like, Bryce, like, come here. So yeah, that was amazing. You know, to get to see him and meet him, and man, that boy, he was throwing that ball yesterday. Like, he definitely something special. But yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Well, McHale, appreciate your time, man. Good luck this season.
Yes, sir.
Good luck in your recruitment. We'll be down to check you out.
Yes, sir. All right, thanks for having me.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Michigan Recruiting Insider.